Okay, everyone, welcome. This lesson I'll be dealing with equations, how to solve equations. We've got linear equations, we've got equations with fractions, we've got quadratic equations. We also have cubic equations, but I don't think we will cover that in this video. Let's start right ahead with linear equations. Linear equations, I'm going to just choose a question and then we do it together. You must have done this in grade 9 and 8. So that's just a revision. So if you are given something like this and the question will say solve for x. So what are we going to do? Basically, we want to isolate x to be alone. So we're going to do everything that we are doing is so that we can find the value of x. So the first thing is to get rid of the 5. How do we do that? By the inverse. We remove 5 on both sides. That's what we normally do. The inverse operation of plus, it's minus. So if I want to remove the minus, the 5, I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. Or you can do it the normal, the old way. We say transpose. Remove the 5 across the equal sign. If it goes across the equal sign, the sign changes. If it's a positive, when it goes that side, it becomes a negative. So if it comes here, it becomes a negative 5. So the same number, but we just took it to across the equal sign. 10 minus 5 becomes how much? 5. Oh, am I right? 5, okay. Yeah. And then divide both sides by 2. Why are we doing this? We want x to be alone. Actually, 2 goes into 2 1. So here there's an invincible 1. But we normally say it cancels out. Then we left the 5 over 2. So that will be our answer. So this is what we mean, the type of linear equation. We are only expecting one solution because there's only one x value there. Let me choose 2 more questions on this and then we go to something else. X plus 2 equals to 6 negative 3x. So here, what are we going to do? We're going to move all the like terms to one side. You still remember what we did when we spoke about like terms. Like terms are the numbers that have the same variable or same exponent. So these two, they are like terms. So I'm going to put them on one side. So the only way I can put them on one side, if I can take this, move it across the equal sign. It's a negative. If it comes this side, it becomes a positive. So I'm going to have x plus 3x. Do you all understand? This is negative, goes there, it becomes a positive. And then 6. This is a constant. I want to join it with the constant there. So I'm going to move this positive 12 to go that side. If it comes here, it becomes a negative 12. So 6 minus 12, it becomes negative 6. 4 plus x plus 3x becomes 4x. Divide both sides by 4. X becomes negative 6 over 4, which simplifies to 3 over 2, because 2 can go into both of this. So that becomes our answer. Marvelous, wonderful. Nothing hectic so far, still basic equations. Let's pick another question. I'm going to do this one. 3p, open bracket, p plus 2, 2p minus 1. And in this case, we are solving for p. We want the value of p. We want to know how much is p. So what are we going to do there? We're going to start first by multiplying in the brackets. Multiplying in the brackets. So I'm going to multiply there. 3p plus 6 3 multiplied by p is 3p, 3 multiplied by 2 is this. That and that is that, minus 2. Okay, are we all fine? So far so good. Then, what am I going to do here? I want to move the like terms to one side. So all the p's must be together, all the constants must be together. So here, I'm going to move 2p this side. It's a positive. If it comes that side, it becomes a negative. Is that fine? And on that other side, I have a minus 2. I'm going to move 6. It's positive, it goes that side, becomes a negative. Always, don't forget change of sign. This becomes 8, this that becomes p. So that becomes my answer right there. Basic questions, nothing hectic so far. I hope we are fine. Okay, now I have to do quadratic equations. Quadratic equations. I'm going to try to do all of this because they carry a different concept all the time. So a quadratic equation, if you haven't dealt with it, grade 10, we are starting to introduce quadratic equation. You need to have your equation in a standard form. But remember, before we do quadratic equations, we call this a quadratic equations. Quadratic equation. We did factorization. Factorization, you had to know how to factorize a trinomial. What is a trinomial? A trinomial is any expression of a polynomial that has 3 terms, or any expression that has 3 terms. So 1, 2, 3. So a quadratic equation, you can use factorization using trinomials to solve the question. I'll show you just now. X squared minus 5x minus 14 equals to 0. So I'm going to factorize so that I get my factors. And then after, I solve for x. So that's the first question there. How do we factorize? There are many ways of factorizing a trinomial. I'm going to briefly try to explain the method that I use to factorize a trinomial. So I do cross multiplication. In the first 2 blocks, I write the factors of x squared, which is x times x. X multiplied by x will give me x squared. Here, I'm going to write all the factors of 40, the product, 7 and 2. So I'm going to choose from these 2 factors that if I subtract, and I look at this sign, I say I'm subtracting. This symbol, this sign tells you if you are subtracting the factors or adding the factors. I'm going to choose factors whereby if I were to subtract, they would give me a negative. So which is 7 and 2. I can see 7 minus 2 will give me a 5. So I write 7 and 2. Then we do our cross multiplication. 7x, 2x, 2 multiplied by x becomes 2x. If I were to subtract this 2, I would get a 5x. Can you see? That's the middle term. So we use the first term and the last term to get the middle term. So there now becomes our brackets. So like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. That's still equals to 0. Then I have to choose my signs. I still go back to this one. If the sign here is a minus, meaning the signs in the brackets will be different. So I write the signs must not be the same because I'm subtracting. So the signs will be different, and I go to the sign in the middle term. And I say this sign here, it has to go to the bigger number between the 2 factors. So which one is bigger? 7. So 7 will take this number. Then because the signs must differ, automatically this one's becomes a plus. And then once I'm here, I equate everything to 0. Each bracket I make it equal to 0. So I say, what's inside this bracket? X minus 7, I make it equal to 0. I say, or x plus 2, I make it equal to 0. Therefore, x is 7 or x is minus 2. Can you see, guys? Can you see? Wonderful. The beauty of maths. The beauty of maths. So we call this the zero factor law. You equate each bracket to 0 at the end. Let's pick up another question. Then we're done. Never. That's a question. It's a nice question because it's testing if you know how to put your equation as a standard form. Remember, we said you need to be able to put your equation in this form. The first one must be an x squared. Second one must be a coefficient of x. The last one must be an exponent, and everything must be equal to 0. So, meaning the first thing, I have to move the 3 this side. So 5x plus 2x squared minus 3 equals to 0. Is that fine, right? After I do that, what am I going to do? I'm going to put my expression in a standard form. So meaning take this one, it goes with its sign. This is positive because of the plus. And here, if there's nothing here in front, we know it's a plus. So if I'm putting it as a standard form, I'm going to put it like that. Are we all clear? Wonderful, wonderful. Now I do my equation now. I'm going to do what? Trinomial. Factorize using a trinomial. So I'm going to do the cross. 2x squared, 3. The factors of 2x squared is 2x and x. Factors of 3, it does not change. That's 3 and 1. 3 times 1. Is that clear? So I'm going to write 1 and 3. And I do my cross multiplication. You can swap it if it doesn't make sense. But what am I doing? I'm trying to check if these factors will give me a 5 there. If I'm doing what? If I'm subtraction or minus the factor. So this time this will give me 1x. This time this will give me 6x. Can you see? 2x multiplied by 3. If I were to subtract this, at this point it doesn't matter. You're subtracting the bigger one from the smaller one. But we just want to see if I were to subtract 1 and 6, will I get this 5? Yes, I get a 5. Then means I have my factors there. I have 2x and 1, x and 3 equals to 0. What do I have to do? I need to decide the signs. We said if the signs are different, we look for the sign in the middle, it's a plus. This plus goes to the bigger number. Which one is bigger between 1 and 3 is this one. So this one becomes a plus, then automatically that becomes a minus. And then we do what we call the zero factor law. We equate each bracket to 0. This is a minus. It's a plus, eh? Oh, it's a plus, yeah. So here I'm going to move negative 1 to there, it becomes positive, and divide by 2 on both sides, so that I have what? 1 over 2. Or x will be minus 3. Can you all see? Take the positive 3 across the equal sign, becomes a negative 3. Oh! Let me do another one. E. So what are you going to do when you're given such a question? You can see, if I were to multiply in blah, 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 it will give me an expression. But I'm going to have to factorize again, which will bring me back to this question. So if your expression, your equation is given as this, already here it's a 0. There is no need for you to multiply in. You can just apply the zero factor law because the equation is already equal to 0. So I'm going to say 3x minus 1 equals to 0, or x plus 2 equals to 0. There is no need for you to go and do blah 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 because it's equals to 0. The main point is here. Standard form says it must be equal to 0. If already it's equals to 0, you just go ahead and solve. So here will be x, this goes there, we divide by 3, so that will be our answer. X will be minus 2, that will be our answer. Are we all clear, guys? I hope we are clear. I'm going to do the last question here. It has to fit here. If it doesn't fit here, we leave it. Okay, let's do the last question. 10. So now, it's equal to 10. It's not equal to 0. So if it's this case, I need to solve the question and get the 10 over this side, make it equal to 0, and then that's when I can factorize. So I'm going to have this squared plus 6x minus x minus 2. Can I take the 10 over to this side? It's a positive, it goes that side, becomes a negative, so that I have everything equal to 0. Then I'm going to factor add the like terms. This and this becomes a positive 5x. This and this becomes a 12. And then I have to now factorize. Factorize says 3x x. I'm going to look for the factors of 12. It's 4 times 3, 6 times 2, and 12 times 1. I'm going to choose the ones that would give me a 5 if I were to put it here. So if I were to put a 4, a 2 here, 6, and that, this wouldn't work. Okay, if I were to put a 9 and 4, yes. Let me put these two together. This and this, 4 times x is 4x, 3 times that is 9x. If I'm subtracting, do you see I get a 5? So I'm going to use this 3x4, x3 equals to 0. Signs are different. This one goes to the bigger number, which is this one. No, in this case, it will be this one, yeah. In this case, it will be this one. So this one becomes a negative. Negative, negative, negative. And then x will be positive 4 over 3, or x will be a negative 3. Oh, guys, I want to finish here, but let's do simultaneous equation. Oh, we've got equations with fractions. Let's do one of these questions. Nice, straightforward questions. I'm gonna do 2 and 3. Can I do 2 and 3? Oh, I can do 2 and 3, and maybe 7. Yeah. What is the idea here? The idea, there's nothing written there. The idea is to get the LCD and then multiply everything by the LCD. And then after you multiply everything by the LCD, you will get your question as a linear equation, and then you solve it. Oh. Okay, so I normally say, guys, put your terms in brackets like this, so that it becomes easier when you have to multiply in, because if they are not inside the brackets, you might be confused. So let's look for the LCD. For the LCD is what? The lowest common denominator, which is minus 1 and minus plus 2. How do we get this? I always try to explain it using basic fractions that we had to do in grade 7. So here, what is the main idea that we have to apply here? We know when we're dealing with fractions, you can't add these two together without first making the denominators the same. So the idea is to get the denominators to be the same by looking for a number that both of those denominators can go into. What number can these two numbers go into? 6. How do we get 6? 2 and 3. Do you get it? By just joining these two denominators together, then both of them can go into without a remainder. That's why I choose this one and that one. This one already is the same as that one. So I can say the denominator, you just look for a number that, or an expression that the denominators can go into. And once you have identified your LCD, you're going to multiply everything by the LCD. Literally, or in simple terms, you multiply the numerator by what's missing in that expression from the LCD. So this and this goes away. I'm left with x minus 2, x plus 2 minus x plus 2, and x plus 2 goes away. I'm left with 5 and x minus 1. And this one and that one goes away, not this one, and then I'm left with plus 2. We get it. So what is the aim of us multiplying with the LCD? We want to get rid of these fractions. We don't want fractions. We want it as a linear. You see, now it's in a linear form. We can solve it now. This and this becomes that. We see that the middle term is going to fall off because the signs are different. So you can go ahead. You're going to get this. And then this becomes that. That becomes that. That becomes that. Multiply them together. I get 7x and 14. I move them. They become negative. And then this and that becomes 12. That and that becomes 18. 18 plus 5 becomes what? Oh, my brain. Minus 13. And then I can solve this. Factors of 13, whereby I subtract them, they will give me a 12. It's 13 and 1. So x minus 13, x plus 1 is 0, x equals to 13, or x is 1, negative 1. Oh, guys, I hope you see this. Can I do one question of simultaneous equation? Let me do simultaneous equations, and then we'll be done with our lesson for the day. Okay, all right. So we can do the same thing. We can choose this one. Let's talk about this one. This one you have to factorize it first, so that we get factors that can be similar to that one, and then we deal with it. Here you can see what will be the LCD. This is dots. You can factorize using the difference of two squares there. You're going to get x minus 2, x plus 2, which they are already there. So the LCD will be that, and then you just do what basically we did on this question. So let's talk about simultaneous equation, and I'm going to do one question. One question, please. One question, and then we can talk about it if you want to talk about it. If you want more, you can pause this and do the questions. That's why I keep them there. There are two methods in grade 10 of doing simultaneous equation, of which I can explain both of them here. But for grade 11 and grade 12, you have to learn the substitution method. So people in grade 10, they rather do the elimination method, which is better and simpler and quicker. But when you get to grade 11, you are forced to learn substitution method, because that one, it doesn't really work. It becomes a bit complicated when now we have squares and cubes and all of that. So substitution method, it's simpler, it's a bit longer, but the sooner you get used to it and comfortable with it, the better. What is the idea of substitution method? Is always getting something as the subject of the formula. You always choose one equation and you make it a subject of the formula. Let's pick a question there. Let's pick a question. X minus y equals to 8 and 2x plus y equals to 10. Okay, let's look at this. So we've got two equations. Let me show you. This is an equation, so we write it as equation 1 or equation A. And then we've got 2x plus y. This is equation 2. Then we choose any of this, of the two, to make subject of the formula. So we always advise that choose the one with a coefficient 1. It becomes better, because if you choose this one, you're going to end up with a fraction. Choose one with a coefficient of 1 and make it the subject of the formula. So let me take this equation. Let me make x the subject of the formula. If I make x the subject of the formula, meaning I have to transpose the y, it's negative. If it goes that side, it becomes a positive. Then we are going to call this equation 3. Then the substitution method, that's where it comes into play. We're going to say substitute equation 3 into equation 2. Obviously, we can't substitute it back into 1, because we used equation 1 to formulate equation 3. So I need to put this in this one. I can't put in this one. So I'm going to take this equation and put it in this equation 2. But in this case, this says substitute, meaning replace. Replace. Wherever I see x, I'm no longer going to put x. I'm going to replace it by y plus 2. So let me copy down equation 2. Wherever I see x, so 2 open bracket. In the place of x, I'm going to put what now? Y plus 8 plus y equals to 10. This and this becomes what? This and this becomes 16. This and this becomes y. Why am I doing this? You are doing this so that you can have one variable, one unknown in a question. Because if you have two unknowns, you can't really do much. Your aim for substitution method is so that you can have one unknown. And then you solve it, then you can solve the other one. You're solving one at a time. So here we know it's 1. Add this coefficient. 2y plus y becomes 3y. 16. I hope everything is right. So far so good, I hope. Let's do it. Then this one is going to go that side. Becomes 2 minus 16 becomes negative 4. This becomes that. Are we fine? I hope there's no mistake I've done. It was supposed to work out to a whole number, I think. Okay, let's do it. Divide by 3, divide by 3. Y, it's negative 4 by 3. Okay. Let's look at what I did. I took this one there as a positive. And then here, in the place of y, I put 2y plus 8 equals to that. Give me that. Oh, give me that. Oh, that's right. Yes. Why is it not giving me a whole number? 2y and 16. Y and y gives me that. 16 gives me that. Okay, that's my answer then. That's my answer. Then let's find. I'm going to take this equation, substitute the value of y into x, into equation 3 to get the value of x. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we're going to get. So in the equation 3, we made it as x equals to y plus 8. In the place of 8, I'm going to put minus 3 plus that. And press that on a calculator. Okay. Let me try the elimination method and see, because I think I might be missing something somewhere. So elimination method says you cancel the ones that are like, you cancel this one and that one. They have the same coefficient and opposite signs, and then x is 3x, this is 18. Divide both sides by 3, divide both sides by 3. X is 6. So what are we missing there? Something is wrong, and I'm not seeing it. X is 8 plus y. Okay, then this is that. Choose any equation, substitute in the place of 6, y is 8, take that one to that side. 8 minus 6, it's 2, divide both sides by 1, divide both sides by 1, x is minus 2. So I'm supposed to be getting this, guys, but I'm not getting it. What is wrong? Take 16 to that side, it becomes 2y equals to 10 minus 16, which is negative 6. 2y, divide both sides by y, divide both sides by y, it's minus 3. 2y, no, this is 3, it's 3. 2y plus this will give me 3. So 3, I'm going to get a negative 2. Okay, I'm getting a negative 2 now here. So this is my equation 3. So, what mistake did I do here? Oh, guys. 10 minus 16 is not 4. 10 minus 16 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. Can you see here? Oh, man. Yeah, that was my mistake here. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I hope you see. These are mistakes that you can do in a test, and then usually simultaneous equation, most cases, it should work out to a whole number or an integer. It should work out to an integer. Yeah? Once you have fractions, recheck your work, substitute it back, and make sure that everything is correct. Now, once I have the value of y here, I'm going to say x equals to y plus 8. I have the value of y as that. So it's negative 2 plus 8, which is 6. So this is wrong. This is the correct one. So that's simultaneous equation for you guys. Let me do one more because of the mistake that I did here. As an apology. And then we're done. Done for the day. That's why. Equation 1, equation 2. Which one are we going to choose to make equation 3? This one. It's easier because this x has a coefficient of 1. I'm going to take this one, take this man, move him that side, it's positive. This becomes equation 3. Substitute equation 3 into, so I made equation 3 from equation 2, so I have to substitute equation 3 into equation 1. Are we all clear? Now in the place of x, I'm going to put what now, everyone? 2y minus 1. So let's do it together. 3 open bracket 2y minus 1 plus 5y equals to 8. Alright? This and this is 6y. That and that is minus 3 plus 5y equals to 8. Bada becomes 11y. This is a negative, it goes that side. 8 plus 3. That's 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 11 over 11y. Divide both sides by 11. And y is what? 1. And then once I have the value of y, I'm going to say sub y value into 3 to get x. We're looking for the value of x. So x is how much? 1. So in the place of x, I'm going to put 1. 2 minus 1 is 1.